Hey everybody, welcome to the Inspo pod again with me, Bethany. It's lovely to have you all listening today, and I'm really appreciating all the listeners and all the downloads. Um, this podcast has been an absolute dream of mine for so long, and yeah, I'm just really grateful. And I really wanted to talk today about something that comes up quite a lot for me, actually. It's something I talk about quite a lot amongst friends and in different circles and with work colleagues, and it's something that kind of crops up for me a lot in life because of my age, and that's why I kind of want to address it. So I'm 34 at the time of recording. Um, I'll be 35 in about 6 or 7 months, something like that. Um, and I'm single and I'm okay with it. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. Being single in your 30s, the struggles, the desire and the need to settle down that a lot of people have. And I just want to discuss it. So, I mean, hopefully you'll enjoy listening. Um, and I guess if you're a guy listening to this, which I'm totally open to having male listeners, by the way, I'm aware that my podcast is quite female heavy, quite um female orientated, shall we say. And at times can be come across a little bit man-hating, which I don't want to come across as that. But I think as a woman in the dating world, especially, there's a lot of things that some men have done and do that kind of need discussion. And I'll be the first one to say as well that aside from what we're talking about in this episode, I have a lot to say about men in general and just um how women are treated in this world. So that's why it might come across a little bit man-hating. But there are so many good men out there, so many wonderful men that I love and adore. And if you're someone that stumbled across this podcast or is someone that knows me and is listening or has been recommended by a friend, that alone sets you apart. Because good men, listen to good podcasts. But yeah, I don't want to come across that way at all. But I think this episode is probably going to seem quite female orientated. Because obviously I am female, so what can I do about that? But I guess the first thing to address is, well, I guess let's get into it. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to address is um wanting to be single and not wanting to be single. I think there's a lot of pressure on women, especially, to settle down at a certain age. Um, and I see a lot of comments on TikTok which really concern me, unfortunately, from men. But also from some other women. I don't know whether it's women that are jealous or women that are unhappy, or I don't know what it is, but a lot of hateful comments on other women's posts. But it's mostly from men that I've seen, unfortunately, saying things like, "Oh, you're over 30 and single, no man's gonna want you," or "Oh, you're past your prime," or "Thank God there's fresh 18-year-olds out there for us to choose from," and just stuff that's really like borderline pervy. And comments like that really concern me, like really concern me, as they should. Um, but just lots of comments about women being over a certain age and not being desirable anymore. Um, and I quite frankly think it's absolute bullshit. I'm gonna come out here and say it's fucking bullshit. Sorry for swearing, but it's fucking bullshit. Um, and I know this is gonna be a comment that's gonna really switch opinions. Like some people are gonna agree with me here and some people are not, because they're a bit of a, you know, turning, like, people don't really have the same opinion on them. But the Kardashians, for example, are absolutely in their prime. And the reason I say that comment is going to get some people to agree and some people to not is because I know they have a lot of money. I'm aware of that. I'm aware that, there's that comment out there, isn't there, that I'm not ugly, I'm just poor. Because you can make yourself look like you're in your prime if you've got a hell of a lot of money. So I fully understand that. Having said that, they are in their prime. They look better than they've ever looked and they're in their 40s. But there's loads of other people out there that are the same. And there's people that haven't had work done and haven't spent a lot of money, like that are aging gracefully and look amazing. I just think women are in their prime throughout their whole lives. Like I know women that I follow on Instagram that are in their 50s and 60s. There's a woman who's incredible called, I think her Instagram is called Train with Joan. I'll link that below once I've confirmed that that's definitely it. And she is someone, I think she may be 60s or 70s even. And she started training, started getting in the gym. Her body is insane. This woman can squat more than I can squat, and she's like 40 years older than me. It's insane. And I just think women can be in their prime at any time. Being in your prime doesn't mean you're 18 to 25. Being in your prime means you're at a point in your life where you're super happy and super healthy. To me, that's what being in your prime means. I feel like I'm in my prime right now. So I don't feel like being in my prime also means that I need a man, because there's also this narrative of, oh my God, you're in your prime. So that's perfect for men. Men want you when you're in your prime. You should have a man. The world does not revolve around what men want. I hate to say it. We are all here. We're all equal. The world should revolve around what humans want individually and collectively, not just humans that have something dangling between their legs. Do you see where I'm coming from? So I think that kind of narrative is also really damaging. So the first, yeah, the first narrative that I hate is that women are in their prime when they're super young, and anything over a certain age is not in their prime and should be discarded. And the second narrative that I find damaging is that when you're in your prime, you need a man. Like, honey, I've never been more in my prime. I don't look my best today. And we all have bad days, right? And like, look, I'm not in the shape I want to be in, but there's millions of factors as to why I'm not. And that's okay. But I feel good and I'm doing things that keep me healthy. I go gym at least twice a week. Twice a week is the bare minimum. I do yoga at least once a week, usually 2 or 3 times. I do Pilates once a week. I walk a lot. I eat well. Like I eat things that I enjoy, but I eat things that make me happy and make my body happy. Like I nourish my body. I have good friendships. I'm For me, I'm in my absolute prime. And most importantly, mentally, I'm in the best place I've ever been. I have secure attachment with myself. I have a sort of secure attachment with my friends. Like everything's good. And it's okay to be single. I'm probably good because I'm single. I don't have anyone in my life kind of stressing me out. Um, but also, if you like want to be in a relationship, that's also fine. Like, I think there's kind of this idea that everyone needs to follow the same path or the same narrative. I've got friends that are happily, happily married, and I'm so happy for them. I wouldn't want anything other than that for them because they found their person, and that's great. And I know people as well that met the love of their life when they were like 15, 16. And I used to look at those people and be like so jealous. And I still look at them and think, oh my God, you're so lucky. Like, but I'm sure there's times when they'll go, oh, I wish I'd enjoyed myself. I wish I'd been single for a few years. I wonder if this is the right person for me. And they probably have their own doubts and insecurities because we all do. So, my point being that everyone's journey is different and we don't all need to have the same journey. We don't all need to be on the same path. You can get married at 21 to someone you met at 15 and be happy for the rest of your life. I can be single till I'm 40, fall in love and get married and be happy. Neither option defines your happiness. I think a lot of people do think that their happiness is reliant on having another human in their life. And don't get me wrong, it helps. Do you know how many times something good happens to me? Like, especially recently, life's amazing. And I think I really want to share this with someone. How good would it be to have a support person that's like your everything and your best friend that can say to you at the end of a long day, like, Beth, you absolutely smashed that podcast. I'm so proud of you, babe. Like, let me cook you dinner. God, would I love that? Like, don't get me wrong. And like in the bad times when I'm struggling, how much would I love someone to come home to who's just going to throw their arms around me? Again, cook me dinner. Just cook me dinner every night. um, but like someone that can really be like a support blanket essentially for those hard times. Like we all want that. But I would rather be happy on my own than just with someone for the sake of thinking I want that and then realizing that they're not that person. Like, you don't have to be with someone to be happy. You don't have to, and we all want it. Like, it's the same way I would love to have that person, but I'd also love to be a millionaire. Like, when I'm crying and I'm having a shit day, it would be lovely to come home to someone who's my full support, but it would also be lovely to have a Ferrari and have £1 million and be able to afford a spa day and then drive home in my Ferrari. But that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that's going to make me happy. Do you see where I'm coming from? So there's a lot of things that would make life easier in certain situations and things that we would love to have, but that's not the answer to happiness. The answer to happiness is within, and within your friendships and your work and your daily habits and the state of your mind, you know? And I'm a big believer in finding someone will come when you find that happiness. 100 million%. I was going to say 150% and it came out 100 and a million. We'll roll with that. um, but I think I definitely see a lot of pressure on people like myself, women in their 30s and women in their 40s, especially, to find a husband. And I actually think it's tougher for us that are in the 30s, early 40s bracket who have never been married than it is for those in their 50s and 60s who've been married, because people kind of look at them and say, oh, well, at least they've done it. At least they had a marriage. They've been married, they've had kids. It didn't quite work out for them. Like, oh, they'll find someone else. But like for us that have been like majoritively single, is this narrative of like, you're too old. You need to hurry up. Like, what are you doing? And it's the same with having kids, actually. And I want to do another episode about kids at some point. Um, but it's the same with that. It's like, shouldn't you be having children now? Are you going to have children? Do you think you want children? What's the answer? I don't know the answer. The same way I don't know if I want to go on holiday next year to Italy or Spain. So if I'm not sure, I'm not going to do it, because those decisions are easy. Like, I can pick one, I could pick Italy and go, and it's only going to be a week out of my life. And if I pick the wrong one, who cares? It's a holiday and it's non-committal. You go and you'll still enjoy it and you'll come back and then you move on. If I have a child, it's a lifelong commitment. I cannot undo that decision. And in fact, it's more damaging to have one and then not want one than it is to not have one in the first place, in my opinion. Therefore, if I don't know, then I'm not going to do it. So, like, the pressure is ridiculous. If and I find pressure from other women almost worse when it comes to children, because it's like, if you're so desperate for me to have a child and you think that's so important, you do it yourself. Don't look at me. I'm doing my own thing. There's enough kids in the world. There's enough humans on this planet. You don't need me to have a child. If you think it's that important, you have one. Do you see what I mean? So I find it more damaging from other women. But kids is another whole nother episode. Um, let's go back to being single. I think it should just be everyone's prerogative. Like, a man decides if he wants to be single or not. So why can't a woman? Why can't we focus on ourselves and be happy without having a relationship? Do you know what I mean? And also, why does it have to be a man? It's always, you need a man. How do you survive without a man? Like, why can't it be a woman? I feel like there's a lot of pressure on women who date other women as well, from people around. Not pressure as such, but kind of negativity from men, um sometimes from their family members, to be like, you need a man. You need a man to do this, you need a man to do that. Why do you need a man? If I can be happy on my own, then why can a lesbian not be happy in a relationship with another woman? Because that, I've proven that I can be happy without a man, so why can't they be happy without a man? Do you see what I mean? It's bizarre to me that there's all these pressures and expectations and pushing of people's views. And I think if you've got a view that's negative, keep it to yourself. And I also think if you've got a view that's that strong on how you think other people should live their lives, then you live your life that way if your view is that strong. Like I have a view on how life should be lived, so I live it that way myself. I don't force everyone else to do it, you know? And I believe if other people, if someone's not hurting someone, let them live. Like if someone was out here like murdering people and doing bad things, I would 100 million,000%. I love that I make up these percentages as I go along. I would obviously 1 million% tell them not to do that. And like you're being a twat. Don't do this. Don't do that. Like you're living life wrong. But if someone's living life differently to me and they're not hurting anyone, including themselves, and they're happy, leave them the fuck alone. Like with this podcast, I like to think I can inspire and push people to do better, like advise people and inspire people to live a more authentic, happy life in a good way, in a healthy way. But everyone has a choice whether they listen to me or not. You know, it's a podcast. You can click on it, click off it. Whereas when some people give their views and opinions, they're not doing it in a healthy way through a podcast. They're like saying it in a nasty, damaging way, or directly commenting on people's things on the internet, or directly messaging people, or directly shouting at someone to their face, or being rude. Whereas I'm doing it on a platform where you can come to me and listen or choose not to. I'm not in people's faces. I don't message people and say, you should do this, because I don't think that's healthy. I don't think anyone should be doing that. And I think everyone should be allowed to live their own authentic life. And when it comes to being single in your 30s, I think it's great. I'm just going to put it out there. So many people think it's a negative. Like they really do. And I want to find someone. I do want to fall in love. The ideal for me is not to get to 45 and still be single. I want to find someone whilst I'm doing all this amazing stuff and I'm in a good place and I want to share that with someone. But I'm also absolutely loving my life as I am. And I think that's beautiful. And I just want everyone to feel the same because I want happiness for people. And finding that happiness where you're happy either way is such a good place to be in. Like, I'm loving it. And that really, really irritates some people. And I don't know why. Why does my happiness annoy you? That's my question. Why does anyone's happiness annoy people? It shouldn't do. It should not annoy people. Like, people being happy is a good thing. And I'm super happy. And it's harder than it was in my 20s. Don't get me wrong. Being in your 20s and like finding people that are attracted to you is so easy. But I guess when you're looking for like that authentic connection and that you're looking for the one, it doesn't matter if it's easy. Like having 200 people fancy you and want to go on a date with you makes no difference if they're not the one. Again, it's quality over quantity, which I think I've spoken about in an episode about friendships. It's you don't need more than one person. You just need one person that's right. So therefore, if it's more difficult to date, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means there's less idiots to choose from. But I really support anyone that's in their 30s and single, or in their 40s and single, or whoever. Like, I fully support women being happy on their own. And I do think wholeheartedly that when you're happy alone, you will attract the right person or people into your life. That goes for friendships as well. The right people will gravitate to you if you are happy and you are happy in yourself. It's so important because I think so many people go from relationship to relationship because they're not happy alone. Or on the flip side, they don't go from relationship to relationship. They're single, but they're hating life because they're single and they're doing anything possible to desperately meet someone. And in doing that, you never find the right person. Like, my biggest fear for life is feeling desperation. And in that desperation, settling for someone who isn't right for me and who years down the line, I'm going to end up getting divorced. I would rather be on my own now in this happy, young, single era and then meet the right person than be with someone at this time, become unhappy, and then be single again when I'm much older. And look, these things can't be helped. If you marry someone thinking they're the love of your life and that ends up happening, that's fine also. And, I'd love to be able to give advice to people in that situation and inspiration and for them to be truly happy. And I'm not in that situation to be able to do that. I wouldn't want to advise on something I'm not qualified for. And these things do happen. It's life. We all fall in and out of love. But for me personally, and for anyone else that's kind of going through this similar kind of life stage of being mid-30s and still single, just nourish yourself and enjoy it. Enjoy life, and you'll find that right person. Don't rush into the wrong person, would be my advice, whether you take it or not. um, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard out here, guys. It really is. Tinder is stressful. Hinge is stressful. We all know this. Um, it's not fun. But as I said, I think being single in your 30s is actually a blessing. And I think knowing yourself and being happy in yourself is really the most important thing in life in general, not just in your 30s, but just in life. And as I said, that will attract the right people to you 1000%. Because if you don't have that happiness on your own, then how are you going to find happiness with someone? So, yeah, that would be my advice. I hope this episode has been helpful. It's definitely been therapeutic for me to talk about it and just realize how happy I am. Um, and I just hope the pressure stops. I hope people stop putting pressure on each other, but also on themselves to find another human being because you don't need to. If you've got good friends and you're happy in yourself, that's all you need. And we'd all love to be in love. Like, that's the goal, right? That's the goal of life, is to be in love, to find the love of your life and be happy. But you don't need it. It's not a need, it's a desire. And I hope more people recognize that and stop putting pressure on themselves. But also, as I just said, the pressure from other people needs to stop. We don't all need to be married at 30. We don't. Everyone's on a different path, everyone's on a different journey. And I truly believe when you sit back, find happiness, and trust the universe and trust the divine timing of the universe and of your life, you won't feel the rush anymore. Like, you'll really settle into knowing you're in the right place at the right time. I fully believe that. And I think it's what really gets me through because I never feel sad. I don't ever sit here and think I'm sad that I'm single and 34. I never feel that way. I feel so happy. And I think that comes down to surrendering to the divine timing of life and surrendering to the universe will put me where I'm supposed to be. Because I have that belief, it really supports me. And I'm not saying everyone needs to have that belief. Believe in whatever's going to make you happy. Find something to believe in that makes you feel good, right? But for me, it's that. It's life will put me where I'm meant to be. I'm not meant to find someone right now. Or if I am, they will come. Like, they'll be there. I don't need to go out more to meet someone. I don't need to be on dating apps. I don't need to pay for a dating app to meet someone. I don't need to change who I am to meet someone. Like, I want to do exactly what I want to do in my life, and the right person will cross paths with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, the person I am at the minute is I want to do a podcast. I want to go to coffee shops. I don't really want to drink much at the minute. I don't really, I want to walk a lot. I want to go gym. I don't really want to be tied into a 9 to 5. Like, that's just where I'm at the moment. So when it comes to dating, I don't want to change who I am to increase my chances. as it were. Does that make sense? And I just hope that everyone finds that same kind of level of peace and kind of belief in like divine timing, because divine timing is something that really, really supports me in life and helps me to be happy. But if you ever do feel down about it, like also that's so normal and that's fine. We all get down. Like things affect everybody and affect everybody differently, and that's also okay. But yeah, that's today's episode. I'm definitely going to touch more on this in the future. And I think there's a lot that can be spoken about people's views on relationships and the pressures of life. And as always, if you've got any questions or there's anything you want me to cover or anything you want me to answer, or you want advice on how I've got to this place of kind of peace and happiness in myself, then just fire me a message, drop me an email, bethany@theinspopod.co.uk, comment on the video, whatever it is, however you want to get in contact, please do. And just be less hard on yourself. Like if you're in a relationship and you're listening to this, like maybe it's inspired you that you're in the wrong relationship and you want to get out. Well, if that's what makes you happy, do it. If this has inspired you to think like, oh, I'm so glad I've got the love of my life and I'm happy. Good. I'm so happy about that. Like that's the goal, right? So great. I hope anyone that's listening that's in a relationship is in that place and they're super in love. Um, but then I hope that anyone that's single has felt a little bit inspired and a little bit better about where they're at, because the world is tough. Everyone's got opinions. Everyone wants to apply pressure. Everyone wants to impose their view on how life should be. And I think we all just need to be a little bit less hard on ourselves and just enjoy the journey. Like, enjoy it. Like, you don't need to rush. Life is for living. Enjoy the moment. Peace and love. I always sound so hippie. Peace and love, guys. It's so cringe. Like whenever I watch these back and edit them, I honestly hate myself at times. Um, but yeah, get in touch with me, leave a comment, leave a message, drop me an email, and I'll see you on the next episode, guys. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, whatever you're getting up to, and I hope you all love yourselves.